stuff
Oh,
on those things. Batman might have a copy of the Ayer cut.
Harley and Ivy are back!
We start with the Eat, Bang, Kill tour, which is so much fun.
And then raunchy, and then a little scary.
And I'm just wondering if, like, in the conceptualization phase, like, was there anything that you guys wanted to have in that sequence that didn't make it?
Oh man, we cut a lot of stuff out of it. We did like so many versions of that sequence.
We had them like defacing Mount Rushmore, like chiseling their faces on Mount Rushmore,
Nice.
that kind of thing.
What?
The writer of that episode, Sarah Peters, who's amazing and a huge like voice of Harley in Ivy in our show. She wrote that script, and I feel like when she turned in the first draft of it, like we had outlined it, but then she added like there was like so many different versions.
You guys should do like an outtakes where it's just like all of the things that didn't make it.
Well, I'm sold.
Harlivy, what are you doing here?
Ooh, is that our official celeb couple name?
I would have just gone with Ivy.
The way that you guys handle Harley and Ivy is just so perfect because it's not perfect. You know, they do have their issues and there are some complications, but it's just executed so well. And I did see recently that Margot Robbie has been saying that she's been pestering Warner Brothers to do a live action Harley Ivy on screen. So I was curious if you guys had any advice for them on how to do that well.
Hire Lake Bell to be.
Yes.
For us, it's like, I think it's in figuring out how to like characterize Ivy, because I think we were just talking about this just a little bit ago, but like I think in the comics it's been like an overly sexualized character, and our feeling is like Ivy hates humanity.
Most people are trash.
So that should be reflected in the way that she dresses, the way that she interacts with people,
What's the Wi-Fi here?
There's no Wi-Fi in Eden. That's like the whole point.
and that Harley's the one human that she likes, right? And so I feel like there's this like codependency, which is really important. Like both characters kind of need to grow in their own ways during the arc of a movie or a show. And so I feel like if you can nail Ivy, the pieces of Harley and Margot's performance of Harley is certainly there. So it's like, you know, I think it's get Ivy, get it right.
Do you know how many invitations we've sent you?
Jesus, I don't know, millions?
I love the way that you guys she's probably my favorite like character on a TV show in like the last 5 years, just generally. I love her. I love how sarcastic she is. It's so great. So like when you guys were conceptualizing like how to sort of characterize her, like what were some of the conversations that you were having about what you wanted to bring out in her besides what you were just kind of talking about?
Yeah, well, I think like dating all the way back to the original kind of pitch of the series, you know, we didn't delve too much in the pitch, the initial pitch at least, about their romance. We wanted Harley to obviously be at the center. We pitched the show as like Mary Tyler Moore, if Mary Tyler Moore were a killer. And we wanted to focus on season 1 with like Harley's career and her vocation, like she's emancipated herself from the Joker. But the elevator pitch about like Harley and Ivy's relationship at that point was like Harley's Ferris Bueller, Ivy is Cameron Fry, like she's the wet blanket.
Don't you think it's time to kind of like wrap this party up?
The logical one, the one who is always like constantly pulling back her, you know, bestie from, you know, getting into some serious trouble.
You know me, I mean, I'm ride or die, but I mean, is this really the ride you envisioned?
And, you know, always knowing kind of in the back of our minds that like once Harley has figured out what she wants to do with her career, then we can start telling the stories about them and their relationship and the complicated things happening there where they were, you know, they were best friends, but Harley's always kind of had these latent feelings about Ivy, and Ivy obviously very confused with the whole Kite Man thing.
Yes.
So
Why would that be?
Because we had an affair while you were dating, then you left him at the altar for me, and now we're all seated at an award show where you and I are up for best couple. Blah, blah.
Bingo bango.
So yeah.
Speaking of Kite Man, are there any other villains that you guys want to bring in that you haven't brought in yet? Like, are there any left?
Man.
And we have gone through a lot. I mean, I think season 3, people will see some interesting cameos. We have Codpiece, who is a real character from the comics,
Yeah.
who's he has a gun, whereas penis would be, or is. I don't know.
I don't think it's in place of his penis. I think
don't think- no?
I think he has a penis, and then he
Yeah.
also has a gun.
The ultimate male enhancement.
Yeah, they need both.
Yeah.
No, we all think it's cool. Haven't heard a single person suggest you're compensating for something.
Okay, so I want to get into the Court of Owls episode, which is in the teaser, so I'm not
fave.
going to spoil anything.
Let the grand owl orgy begin! Headphones, Benny!
I think I heard a pig, a dolphin, various bird noises in this. Like, is there any sort of Easter egg or anything that fans should listen out for?
Well,
in
first
that?
off, shout out to George Peters, our sound guru, who surprises us in every mix with sounds we wouldn't even have thought were gonna be in something. I think he really got excited. You know, you don't always get to do an orgy when you're sound mixing.
Yeah.
I think he threw in a bunch of noises. He was like, "What if this thing was fucking?"
I watched it twice because I had to go back and I was like, wait, what is going on? And I was like trying to look in the frame.
For some reason, also like the animators got really excited with that one. Like Bane is eating that sandwich that looks like a huge dick.
Yep.
And that was certainly not written. We didn't write that.
Oh, really?
They wish.
Jen Coyle, who's our supervising producer on the show, was like adamant that Bane is going to be eating a giant hoagie that then goes flaccid when the lights
That's
turn
fantastic.
It's a work of art!
What are some like other moments in the show where it's been like that, where you guys were like surprised to see something that the animators just did?
Oh man, Jen and her team do that all the time. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, the Court of Owls episode is probably the sort of like exemplar of that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, the animators will put in kind of Easter eggs like wherever, and then of course like we have to make sure that we're paying attention. There's a scene in the Batcave where on the Bat computer we have the sort of like traditional desktop with folders, and it's kind of a blink and you miss it thing. But if you do pause it, there's some pretty interesting stuff.
I'm gonna have to
on
go
those
back
things.
and look at
Batman
that.
might have a copy of the Ayer cut.
So, okay, I have an Ayer cut
think I knew
question
that.
now, but that is great. So when the Suicide Squad shows up, episode 1, the montage, that's the Ayer movie lineup. Is that a shout out to ReleaseTheAyerCut fans, or is that a?
we believe in all cuts of everything being released.
Why, like, put it all out, right?
Yeah.
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 I don't see
Look,
it.
we're real people. We're not bots. We're saying this right
You're
now.
not?
Although I would love for every time I tweet anything for a response not to be to release the AyerCut. I have no power. A DC, Pat has no power. If there's any power to, we're pro releasing cuts.
We can
You're
ask
like
nicely.
adjacent. Yeah, they're like, we're just gonna get it in their ears.
Well, yeah, I'll like tweet something about my mom, and then it'll be like, "Release the AyerCut" will be the response. I'm
true.
like, well, fuck, I
Yeah.
don't know.
On that note, James Gunn, one of the most popular DC directors right now, is a recurring character. Were you guys just like too afraid to call Zack Snyder? Or?
His name was bandied about in the room for sure. But we knew that James was a fan of the show. We thought it would be funny, given James's body of work, to portray him in this show as someone trying to go a little bit more, I don't know, awards cinema.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. He's pivoting a bit.
For the new Thomas Wayne biographical picture, a hard Wayne's gonna fall. Another movie about a bipedal billionaire.
I DM'd him one day, knowing that he had been kind of, touting our show on Twitter. It's very kind of him. He's got a lot of followers. And I was like, hey, are you interested in like playing yourself? Here's the deal. This is the movie you'd be directing. And like it shocked me. Like within 15 minutes, he was like, yeah, I'm in. Here's my reps info. And then we recorded for like an hour with him. He was up in Vancouver shooting Peacemaker. I got to direct him, which was crazy.
Nice.
It was super fun.
If I learned anything from my 7 years acting on the Amy Sherman Palladino dramedy, Kill More Girls.
I'm gonna stop you there.
When Clayface is James Gunn, was James Gunn doing like, how are you guys like cutting that together when he's kind of morphing in and out of that voice? Was James
That's
Gunn
what-
like trying to imitate it?
Well, that was Alan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it was?
It's all Alan.
I'm sorry, what?
Alan
fooled
is
me.
Alan just
He did a great
Alan
job.
Tudyk does not get like the amount of love that he gets a lot of love and he deserves even more than like
I literally thought you guys were mixing James Gunn and
Alan
his
is
voice.
the
I was like,
most
"That's
insane
impressive."
voice actor. We'll ask like Alan in that moment, Alan's doing Clayface, who's doing James Gunn. Like, and Alan is able to like mix all those voices together. It's insane what Alan Tudyk, Lake Bell, I think are probably two of the greatest voice actors like are
Well, your
living.
entire cast is
Yeah.
just phenomenal.
Dare I say perfection?
Some talent you cannot teach.
So I have seen episodes 1 through 9. What can I expect from episode 10? Because it does kind of wrap things up a little bit at the end of 9. So are you gonna leave us on like a crazy cliffhanger? I want to tease, but don't spoil me.
Yeah, I think at the end of 10 launches when the very last moments of 10 will give you a sense of sort of a big change going into if we get a season 4. That would be going into season 4.
And are you gonna make us wait 2 years for season 4?
I hope not, but watch season 3 and that will let everybody know
Yes.
there needs to be a season 4.
It doesn't pay for itself, Chief.
This show is seriously like probably the best thing to come out of DC. In
Oh,
like, the
thank
last
you.
5 years.
Do you hear that, DC?
Yeah, it's like the Batman and you guys. Harley Quinn show.
Wow.
Yeah.
High praise.
It's true.